It all began with the relentless march of progress. In the 1850s, the British were laying down the arteries of their empire across the Indian subcontinent. The railway was king, a symbol of power and modernity. In the vast, sun-baked plains of Punjab, engineers John Brunton and William Brunton were constructing the line between Karachi and Lahore. But they needed ballast, the crushed stone that secures the railway tracks. Then, a local rumor offered a solution. They said it was full of strange fire-baked bricks, a place they called Harappa. They found mounds littered with countless hard, uniform bricks. To them, this was not history. It was a quarry, a gift from the past to serve the present. Their job, under the expansionist policies of Governor-General Lord Dalhousie, was to build railways, telegraphs, canals. And these bricks were the perfect, ready-made ballast they desperately needed. So the destruction began on an industrial scale. For miles and miles, the railway line was built upon the pulverized remains of a 4,500-year-old city. The very engine of progress was erasing a chapter of human history, a story of iron and steam silencing the whispers of bronze and clay. Enter Sir Alexander Cunningham, the first Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India. A former army engineer with a passion for antiquities, Cunningham visited Harappa in 1853 and 1856. He collected artifacts, including a remarkable stone seal, carved with a pictographic script and the image of a bull. But he failed to grasp the full significance. He tried to fit the evidence into known histories. He relied on ancient Greek accounts and travelers like Xuanzang, mapping ruins onto those stories. He speculated these mounds were Sangala, a city tied to Alexander the Great's campaigns. The seal confused him, an indecipherable script, an alien style. He guessed it was imported. He published this view, calling the mounds a later Buddhist monastery complex. He stood on the edge of a discovery that would rewrite history, but couldn't see it. The Indus Valley civilization was nearly lost again. First, physically, railway ballast, now intellectually, misfiled under the wrong label. Cunningham's work remained foundational. He was right that Harappa mattered, but his inability to imagine an earlier civilization kept the truth buried. The mounds stayed secret for 50 more years, waiting for a new generation willing to let the archaeology speak. The turn of the 20th century brought a new kind of leader to India. Lord Curzon, appointed viceroy in 1899, was a stark contrast to many predecessors. He was appalled by the state of India's ancient monuments. He was an imperialist, but also a scholar with a genuine passion for history and art. Sites were being cannibalized for building materials, a dereliction of duty, Curzon argued. He believed the empire should act as custodian of India's immense cultural heritage. One of his most lasting reforms was the overhaul of the Archaeological Survey of India. In 1904, he passed the Ancient Monuments Preservation Act. The law allowed the government to protect, purchase and restore ancient structures. It shifted the official attitude from indifference to active preservation. Curzon dramatically increased the ASI's funding and expanded its mandate. He wanted scientific excavation, training archaeologists and sharpening methods. Crucially, Curzon knew his plans needed the right person to lead them. He looked beyond civil servants and sought a professional archaeologist trained in Greece and Crete. The man he found was John Marshall. Appointing Marshall was perhaps Curzon's most important move. Sir John Marshall arrived in India with a fresh perspective. Marshall was a scientific excavator. He let the material evidence tell its own story. He set about professionalizing the ASI, training teams, cataloging finds, enforcing standards. He understood that context was as important as the artifact itself. Under Marshall, the ASI revisited Harappa, and work spread to Sindh, Mohenjo-Daro. In 1921, Daya Ram Sani began new excavations at Harappa and uncovered more seals and pottery. At the same time, R.D. Banerjee excavated a stupa farther south and found similar seals beneath it. Mohenjo-Daro revealed a planned city built of baked brick, streets, drainage, the Great Bath. Across vast distances, the pieces of the puzzle were coming together. The breakthrough came in 1924. Marshall announced the finds in the Illustrated London News. He declared an entirely new civilization, as ancient as Mesopotamia and Egypt, a sophisticated urban culture flourishing around 2500 BC. The mistakes of the past, railway ballast, misreading, had almost buried an entire civilization. Yet it was saved by the foresight of a reform-minded viceroy and the scientific rigor of a new generation. Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro. Now they stand as monuments to a lost civilization and the fragile process of rediscovery.